Why cargo?
I think logistics is something that just makes you fall in love with things.
For me, it came very, very late.
I would rather find a solution first than figure out why the problem happened. Maybe the world's not going the way we've been trained. I'm the calmer one.
I believe that not everybody is cut out for a leadership role. Hi everyone, welcome to episode of She Moves Cargo. Today is actually very special because if somebody had asked me anytime during the last journey or career of mine that I would one be hosting a podcast, and second my interviewee would be my own sister, I would have straight out said no, it's not happening because I've never even thought about it. But today is special because not only am I hosting a podcast, and thank you Cargo Talk for that, but along with that, my sister is actually my interviewee, and I don't know in which order her interview is going to appear, but she is the one that we are kickstarting off this podcast series with. The idea for this podcast is that we are going to be interviewing a lot of unique women who necessarily or may not have the kind of exposure that they should have had, and people may not know everything about them. They may prefer to be behind the scenes. They may they may worry about whether they will speak well or whether they are going to be portrayed well, whatever may be the case. So it's a very exciting time for me because I would be able to hopefully get out hidden facets about them, which if they are already popular in the industry, many may not know, because all of us wear masks, all of us wear personas, and we have facades. Some days we have a good one, some days we have a bad mask on. So it's important to know who that person is behind the mask that we are wearing at work. And with that, I kick off, and thank you very much Forum for agreeing to be here. I hope for everybody's sake it's going to be a good interview. So Forum, thank you for doing this. I know you must be a little nervous, but I have been known to be a very good host, so you are in good hands. Literally, I have to ask you this. Why cargo? And why logistics?
So honestly, this was never planned. I never intended to get into logistics. As you know, I wanted to do my MBA. I wanted to pursue it, take up a corporate job. So logistics happened very organically. Dad was not very keen on us working for somebody who'd rather have us report to him than report to somebody else. So after college, just thought that the business is there, and I'd rather get into it because you were there, 6 years already into the industry then. And I thought it was just a good thing to get into logistics. And I think logistics is something that just makes you fall in love with him. So I think my journey has been very organic. I entered not knowing much about it, but then I just fell in love with it, and then rest is history. It just became life.
Is there any particular defining moment or a point, maybe as late as now, or maybe in the initial time when you joined, where you felt, okay, I think I have just made the right decision, considering my work experiences at that point of time and the difficulties that I was facing settling in, because it took me a very long time to settle in. When was that moment when you thought that you belong here? For me, it came very, very late in my life, where I thought, okay, this industry I belong to in spite of everything else, the strappings and all. So when was that for you?
Honestly, for me, I don't know, maybe I'll just consider myself lucky. I had it very easy compared to the two of us. I obviously had it a lot more easier than you did, as every the younger sibling would. So I think very early on, after joining office, once I started enjoying, and once I started getting a little more responsibility, because Dad was also a little skeptical about a lot of things, but when he started putting a lot more responsibility, rather, I would say, I think that's when I realized I don't have a defining moment. If you ask me, I just enjoyed from day one, and yeah, cargo is now what it is.
This is a complete antithesis to the kind of person you are. This industry thrives on pressure. This industry thrives on, missing deadlines and rush. And there's a lot of anger and there is a lot of excitement, yes. But besides that, there is, just a lot of everything. It's full on emotion. Like if I have to say, this industry is perfect for somebody like Adhya because this is where she would thrive and she could express all her emotions in like a matter of 2 minutes. How do you manage to juggle that with your nature? Because for me it's a constant struggle as compared to what I was. And since we are not talking about me today, I'm not going to go too much into it, but technically you were supposed to be the extrovert and I was supposed to be the introvert, because growing up you had more friends than I did. And I still think that our family, at least dad, thinks that I have no friends and things like that. But how do you balance that? How do you become the Forum Sampath, taking care of the air exports, the vice president of EKF, against who you are really? Because I've never seen you sweat. I've never seen you get upset on the worst of the worst mistakes. And if we have to compare that to me, then it's like, one is an earthquake and a tsunami combined together, but you are like, I don't know, planet Earth or Earth Mother, where nothing seems to shake you and all. So
honestly, coming to your question, the beginning of it, having friends, no friends, nothing to do with introvert, extrovert over there and all. I just guess I've learned from mistakes. I've been in the industry for 20 plus years. I've learned from mistakes. So if you ask me whether I get upset with somebody or don't get upset with somebody, it's very simple. I mean, I've made mistakes. I've learned from those mistakes. I just feel getting worked up about something. I mean, I would rather find a solution first than figure out why the problem happened, and that kinda takes care of a lot of things. Because once the solution is in place and you probably worked things out and the shipments departed or delivered or whatever case may be, that moment has passed. I believe that reacting in that particular moment at that time is not necessary. You all get together and solving it is much better. And yeah, I mean, just being calm. I mean, everything doesn't need like an explosion, according to me. That is what I keep on telling you also, but you don't listen to me.
no, I don't. That's why I call you white collar and I call myself blue collar, because your traits are all full white collar. So for people, this is a standard joke that goes on that for me, I'm pretty much blue collar, and I'm more an operations hands-on person. Whereas when it comes to Harish Bhai and Forum, they are more white collar because they are management people. And I always say that because they both are very calm under pressure, they know how to get things done, they know how to get people to work.
I mean, you know that every second there were problems going to. What are you going to do about it?
But I also have to ask that, considering the amount of emphasis that has been put into us, grilled into us during, for us to work here, that transparency, authenticity, honesty is very, very important, and that is the ethos of what makes EKF. Obviously, people lie, and our people are no different. The first thing is going to be that if there is a mistake or there is a mess up, is the first thing that you want to do is you want to lie. We've had issues where we found out stuff and we have done and your reaction has been different, mine has been obviously very different, and the way we've handled things is different. So what I want to ask you is that with the kind of pressure that we have, okay, for being the kids that we are, for the lineage that we have. And I know that we never really talk about our lineage that much out in the industry. So those who know us, but for those who don't know where we come from, who dad is, or who our grandfathers have been, both from mom's side or from dad's side, or what our great grandfathers are all about and where we come from, because we've always been taught that we're supposed to be authentic, we're supposed to be honest, and we're supposed to be humble. Do you think these are the qualities that should be imbibed in today's times, in the 22nd century or the 21st century, whichever century we are in right now? I always get confused with that. And is that what, when Navya and Adya come to the industry, should they decide to come to the industry, are those the qualities that we would want them to have?
100%. And in fact, if you ask me, I think these are industries not just these are characteristics not just attributed to this industry. I think overall in our lives, transparency, honesty, authenticity, they are extremely important. I think you can build a client, like a very good client relationship, or even with the airlines or with everyone associated with us, on the basis of these characteristics, or on the basis of these qualities. And I think there's no fun in if you're not honest with your own clients. Like, for example, if there's a shipment which has not departed or something, I would not want to beat around the bush at all with a client. I would just want to tell him that, listen, this is the problem, we are working on finding a solution for you. And I think that's where somewhere the trust factor comes in, which then the client is like, okay, fine, there has been a goof up. It probably may not be because of us, but at least they were honest enough to come and tell me that, okay, this is the problem, or this is what had happened, or they're working. Rather than giving excuses, it's best to just tell them the truth and to find a solution for that particular problem. So yes, those are qualities that
I know when the boys don't like talking to Aspi, because he asks them difficult questions and they don't really have answers. So whether it's the boys or whether it's the Everbill team preparing the Everbills, I know there are certain people that they would want to pass on to, and at that time they suddenly realize, oh, there is Forum madam and there's Chaitali madam, can you please talk and can you get this done? So for me, yes, of course. And this is something that people have always said, that we come to you is because we know that even if you've messed up or you screwed up, then you are still going to be honest enough in telling us this. And I know that we do this. The idea is that, look, there is one aspect, that is the training that we've had. And, considering that we've pretty much grown up in this industry over here, right?
I'm sorry to cut you, but yeah, that's kind of the training that we've had. Like, I remember you and I have traveled by bus when we started. Okay, we were not even allowed to come by car with dad. So you would leave when I joined. I'm telling you, when I joined, you would leave half an hour before me, and then I would leave later, and I would catch a bus and I would come.
No, you went by train and I took the bus.
So that's how we started. I had traveled probably for 2 months, 3 months by bus. And we used to do labeling down. We used to spend hours in the warehouse. I remember that then we had the N-form, and also 37 when that guy used to come, we used to prepare N-form. So yes, we got very ground level training. Dad's not really treated us as daughters in this office at all.
Absolutely.
So I never really missed an outside boss because of him, actually. And I think that training somewhere has really helped us and shaped us into people that we are. So the work ethics that we have today, probably thanks to him, and probably thanks to the training that we've got. And I don't think there's anything wrong in being true and honest to the work that you do, or to the company that you do, or to the people for that matter. And not just to your boss, but even to your subordinates. I think somewhere it shows, and it always helps. And coming back to what you'd said, yes, maybe the world's not going the way we've been trained, but I'm pretty hopeful and positive that there is always going to be a time when it's going to come back a full circle. And the honesty and the loyalty that we've shown and that we continue to show, it's always going to be rewarded.
So one part of the question was also having a sibling at work.
Yeah, having you at work. It would be lovely.
Please highlight the point that in the beginning. So we should ask how early in the beginning it was.
I mean, of course, I was new in the industry, and as I said, I've learned everything over here, and I've learned watching you and Dad. Of course, two different working styles, but there is so much that I've learned from you and him, and in fact, I continue to learn from you as well.
Wah, wah. Ah,
Honestly, there's so much that I still continue to learn from both of you, and every day is a learning process. Like you ask me, how do I deal with pressure? I mean, I'm the calmer one, but sometimes, if you ask me, it doesn't always work. That go-getter attitude that you have, why is the problem not getting solved? What is it that you want to do? Like, I may probably be like, okay, fine, let's just try this, let's just try this. But you're like, no, you have a 360-degree perspective of the whole thing, and also there's so much more to you that you probably think. But yeah, I every day there is something that
I think that's the nicest thing you've said. Is that my birthday present in advance? Achha, okay, then in that case, I shall take this.
Of course, it's always been very easy, because as I said in the beginning, what you went through, you've always made sure that I've not gone through that same thing, and that's not just after we started work, right? I mean, it was ever since I remember, like when we were young, it has always been that, if I've gone through something, I don't want her to go through it types. So that shielding, I remember when we were young, you used to fight with people in our building saying that, "Arey, don't do that to my sister," types, So I think it's been amazing to have a sister. And somewhere a sister bond is always very easy, because you probably understood what I was going through, because you've gone through it, with regards to, that time it was completely a male-dominated industry.
True.
You probably have guided me, you definitely have guided me and shielded me from the mistakes that you've made. So having a sibling, and I think having a sister more than anything else is always better.
did you ever feel the pressure of being, Harish Mehta's daughter, Chaitali Mehta's sister, trying to figure out who you are as a person? You got married, you had kids, all of that. COVID happened, everything. Did you ever think of giving up in terms of the work?
No, not at all. Starting with what you said first, difference of opinion and all. I think it's very normal for two people to have it. We spend majority of our day together. We are here for earlier we used, when I used to work longer hours, we used to be together for about 9-10 hours, and as you in the beginning said, we are two completely different people. So having difference of opinion is, I think, very normal. We would have otherwise also had it, relating to clothes or movies or whatever, and this is work, this is what we are doing for a living and all. So that I think is a very normal thing. We've not had arguments, I would say. I think we've had very healthy discussions, which may have, there may have been moments where we've raised our voices at each other at times. But I guess, that's probably because we may be different individuals, but we feel as much for the company or as much for the shipments as anybody else. So I think when you feel responsible, or when you feel something towards something, there is going to be your opinion, my opinion, and all of that. And I think sometimes it's very healthy, because that kinda gets you thinking. Like, you may tell me something, your opinion, your perception about something could be different. I could be thinking on a different line, but maybe, after what you've told me, I may have changed my way of thinking and all. So I think having those difference of opinions anywhere in any field of life is at times can be looked at a very, probably looked at positively. But yeah, as you said, the bond has always been strong. So it's not that it's affected our relationship or the love or anything for that matter. and neither one of us was wrong or right. It's just our perception,
Correct.
and that's what we believed in. That's what we've taken forward, and that's how we've grown. And as far as pressure is concerned, no, I've never really taken any
That's so nice.
pressure, because I've always this is what this is how much I could do, or this is how much I can do, and I've always been very okay with that. You know, I have not tried to prove it to anybody, honestly, that this is how much I've done. Yes, the only proving that has happened, or the only acceptance of challenge, if at all there has only been for myself. Like, can you do this? Yes, I can do this. Can you get this done? Yes, I can get this done. It's never been for anybody else, to be very honest with you. And I don't think I have ever even told it has never really, Chaitali Mehta's sister or Harish. Today, it's a very proud feeling when I say, oh, I'm Chaitali's sister. Like today when I met my friend, I told her that, now the industry certain section of the industry knows me as Chaitali's sister. And that's a very good thing. But I guess a lot of it comes from how mom and dad have also raised us.
Yes.
There have never been comparisons between us, so that confidence has always been there to be your own. So we joined this industry much later, like when we were 21, 22. By then, the core was already formed, right? We were who
And
we
I
were.
think that's all because of mom and the
that's all
personality that
because
she is.
We were appreciated for who we were. We never really had to be the other person, Like I never had to be like you never had to be like me.
We just had to be Beena Mehta's daughters.
Yeah, and see, I believe that you copy and you learn the good from others.
Yes.
So when we wanted to learn, like if I wanted to learn something from you, it was because I wanted to do it.
Correct.
It was never because of these external pressures at all.
So I think the only pressure I felt was about living up to the standards that Beena Mehta had for both.
All mothers, my children also live.
So, and I think now you have to prove what you do to your.
You ask Navya, she'll tell you, I had to live up to my mother's expectations.
No, but I know that you have to live up to Adya's expectations of what you do. If anybody puts pressure on, he's going to be there.
Children are very different.
Yes, it is.
It's a completely different story, I think. But coming back to this, no, I never felt.
I think that's so healthy, isn't it? That in spite of all, I don't remember us having angst when we were growing up. We had different interests, we had different, everything different, but there was never anything that we had issues on. Maybe it's because of the age gap, maybe it's because of the way mom raised us or the way dad raised us, whichever way it is. But the fact is that it's always been like that, and which I think is very refreshing when I look at other siblings and I look at their problems. When I see the relationships with cracks in them, or when there are breaks and things like that, I think in spite of everything, we've just grown up to be very decent people, and very decent people. But I think we've grown up to be good people. I would say more than decent. I think we've grown up to be good people.
That's kind of the funda that I would even like to follow in life, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, for me personally, if you ask me, I would like to go to sleep thinking that I've been good, rather than how much money I've made, or how much in business, how much have I excelled.
Yes.
I think at the end of the day, and that's my life funda, right?
So for me, the funda is that should I die in my sleep, and when people come, so should I die whenever I die, and when people come for the funeral, when they meet Navya and Adya, they should only have nice things to say about me. So at one point I thought I'll only have 5 people at my funeral, but now I think, God willing, I will have at least about 100 people at my funeral. But having said that, jokes. No, but it is something that makes me wonder. Yeah, it makes me wonder, like when Amol died, he had 6,000 people at his funeral. It was a very tragic thing. And for me, the first thing was that if it was me in his place, how many people would come for mine? And honestly, at that point, I didn't have more than 5 people on my list. So that says a lot about, now how evolved I have become and how it is essential. So the niche that I want for myself, if you asked me this 10 years ago, I would have told you I want everybody to know who Chaitali Mehta is, what I have done and all. But today, if I have to leave this industry, if I retire from this industry, or I move out of this industry, or I die, whichever way it is, I want people to say that I have actually contributed in making their lives better and enriching them. And when I see people come and tell me, total strangers whom I have no idea about, it just makes me feel nice with the all the sacrifices or all the things that went wrong to eventually come to the right, because I know no life outside this industry and I've literally grown up here with everything. So this industry has pretty much made me what I am. But having said that, we go on to the next part, which is the last question before we go on to the quick cargo load, is that, we have so many women entering, right? Everybody says you need to give some tips to the women who are entering, or what is your thing. I know I have been telling women what I think about, but what do you think are the 3 things, or maybe 5 things, whatever they come to your mind, of the women that they should have or that they should inculcate, whether it is in terms of habits, whether it is in terms of qualities, if they want to get into leadership positions in this industry. Look, all of us will get an opportunity to get into the leadership position, but are we worthy of those leadership positions? Can we stay on the leadership positions? Are different questions altogether. And I believe that not everybody is cut out for a leadership role. We all are ambitious, we all are there. If you ask me, I would very happily leave the boss shit to you, and I would, as long as I get my money in my bank, I'm very happy. I don't have to be number 1 like everybody says, oh Chaitali, you can't be number 2, which I think is bull crock. But that is not how it is. So there are some people who are not meant to be at leadership roles, and there are some who are only meant to be working, but in working have a lot more responsibilities. So for the women who are entering this industry now, first timers, or women who are joining their husband's business, father's business is okay, but when it comes to husband's business or somebody who's inheriting the business, what are the things that you think they should have from your point of view?
In this industry.
Yeah, for this industry, to survive in this industry, to thrive in this industry.
I mean, see, there's always going to be that patriarchal attitude. Okay, no matter what we say, that attitude is still there. Of course, people are still gonna question their capabilities. So if I were to tell somebody who's like a woman who's entering the industry, I would be like, you're going to be questioned, you're going to be doubted till you start delivering. Once you deliver, once you make them realize that you're as capable, as worthy as them, that prejudice is automatically going to make way for respect, for recognition. You are going to get your due. It may take time, it may not take time. Some people are born leaders, some people learn through the process. But I will say just keep at it. I mean, there is nothing that we can't do, they can do, or nothing. I think today we're all very smart and all of that. So to just, again, come back to the same thing, it's just stay true to your core. You don't have to prove it to any, I mean, don't go out with that whole thing of proving, just prove it to yourself. Automatically your work will speak. So keep at it. That's it. In the beginning, okay, maybe 2-3 years in this industry, and I remember talking to somebody, I don't know if the person is still a part of this industry or no, but I was talking to this one gentleman, and we kind of had a difference of opinion where he wanted something from us and it was not possible. It was a nomination shipment. So another ICA agent, and I was talking to his staff, and I remember him telling me that you are a woman, I'm a man, and you cannot argue with me, and you need to know your place. And I was so livid. I think it may not show, but I'm a feminist, so that kind of just triggered something, and I'm like, you cannot talk to me like that. And he's like, of course I can talk to you like that, and you don't know what you're talking. So that was probably 17-18 years back. But today I don't think any man is going to talk to us like that. Today times have changed. We're not going to be told that you are a woman, you cannot talk to a man like that somewhere, because they also know what we're capable of. And also times have evolved. We've not I don't think there's anybody who's as regressive in his thoughts now. This I'm talking about, the incident that I'm talking is this person in his 50s and 60s, and I just hope he never did that to his wife. God bless his wife. but I think it has evolved over the years, and things are very different now. Things are very easy now for us.
I have a different viewpoint. I agree with everything that you say, but there is still that regressive mentality with at least 2% or 5% of the people, and it just happened to me. I think 2 years ago, or was it 3 years ago? I can't remember. I still remember we had a shipment at Nhava Sheva, and there was a problem, and I told the guy that this is what we need and these are the documents, and he turns around and says, oh, but why am I talking to you? You don't know operations, so let me talk to your guy. And it cheesed me off completely because he refused to talk to me, and he says, I will talk to Parshuram. And I said, do you even know? And I don't like flaunting who I am, but when I get cheesed off, and if I need that opposite person to know it is, so that sentence comes out, and I said, do you know who I am? And he says, it's okay if you're the boss, but what are you going to know about operations? And I was so furious. And dad came in, he's like, do you know the entire building is hearing you scream? And I said, I don't care, he just insulted me, and I don't think anybody has insulted me like this in a long time. So I called up Parshuram and I said, you know what, I don't care who he is, you stop his shipment right now. And I remember dad telling me, you can't do this. And I said, I'm sorry, today my ego overrules my principles and my ethics. That shipment will not happen. And then the guy's partner called and said, Madam, me tumhala sorry sangto. I said, his fault. Document is wrong. I am telling him everything. What gives him the goddamn audacity to tell me that I don't know my job and that he's not going to talk? Now, Madam, me tumhala sangto. I said, you know what? You tell me sorry as many number of times. Today your shipment is not happening. Tomorrow when I cool down, and if I feel like we will do your shipment, you can do shit with what you want, but this is how it is. Now, we have to come to the quick question, which is going to be like a rapid fire thing. Okay, you have your answers, I have my answers. You can't copy my answers. So
I'm going to be answering first.
Yeah, actually, okay, I will not copy your answers. I have nothing. So we are going to now, this is called the cargo sibling spirit. All right, this is no overthinking. Quick answers, rapid fire, alright? Okay. And if you do well, then you get to watch your cricket match in peace without the girls. I will take the girls for that 1 hour and make them have
3
dinner.
Hours, the WPL is almost 3 hours. So please,
we will.
Mumbai Indians is playing. Take them out tomorrow.
We will see. But I might be traveling tomorrow. Okay. Early morning flights or late night operations?
Late night operations.
I know, late night operations, early morning flights, maybe if I do become a vampire, then yes. Bigger headache, documentation or capacity?
Capacity. Now capacity.
Yeah, really? For me, it's documentation.
Documentation is very simpler for me.
Yeah, no, for me, it is documentation. One word that defines Air Cargo life.
Relentless.
For me, I would say it is chaotic. Chaotic in a good sense. Emails, calls or WhatsApp, what actually runs freight forwarding?
All three, I would say. All three.
Yes, it unfortunately is all three. I would just be happy with emails and phone calls at the most, but now we have to add WhatsApp to it. Thank God Telegram is not on. Finish this sentence. Air cargo professionals succeed because they
Air cargo professionals succeed
because they
for us, delivering is a default setting. I mean, it's not a goal, it's a default setting. I mean, it becomes over the years. So I think it's just an hour.
For me, it is because we are a unique species. I don't think if you're not meant to be in the logistics industry in any sphere, any spectrum, you will never last. So that makes us unique because the way our minds work. So I would like to believe that Air cargo professionals succeed because we are actually a unique species. We should be given a name and put in the museum for the kind of work that we do. Calm under pressure or speed under stress? I know what your answer is. No, I don't have an answer for this because I don't know if it is speed under stress or it's calm under pressure. Maybe my answer would be like a combination of two, or it could be just like a completely different thing. I haven't really thought about this one, so I'm going to let it go. One habit every freight forwarder must have.
Never give up.
For me, it is consistency and discipline. Okay, So, thank you very much.
Money, you will keep the kids for how
No,
Relax.
I will be the judge of it. If whether the girls are, I'm taking the girls out or not. But what the hell? I will take the girls out regardless of whether Mumbai Indian is on or not. You only don't let them come out with me. But now, thank you very much. With this, we wrap up our interview.
Thank you.
I hope you had a good time.
Yes, I did. It was my pleasure.
And so this is like your debut for your podcast also, because I was responsible for your stage presence and your stage.
Yes, actually.
Yes.
Thank you
So
very much.
so you should actually award, and considering my birthday is coming up, please give me a nice gift also. I will still remind you that you didn't buy me those Burberry chappals when you had a chance to buy them.
I'm never going to buy them.
Of course, you should buy them. Monsoons. Everybody needs a good pair of monsoon shoes. And for everyone who stayed with us, thank you very much for being with us. We hope you enjoyed. Please do leave comments and please don't troll us, but leave nice comments for us. After all, you have to motivate Forum for coming and doing more appearances in the future and for the success of the podcast series.